Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm your midday host, Julie Grant. We have got our cameras all over the place today. We are streaming live the case of Ryan Duke. That's the beauty queen murder trial involving victim Tara Grinstead. You can watch that on courttv.com. You can do double streaming and see the Batali trial here. Mario Batali, celebrity chef, is being accused of indecent assault. We are awaiting the court's decision. The judge will make his finding on the case public at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Our cameras will be there for that. And in the meantime, we are looking ahead till next week when the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case resumes in Virginia. So right now, probably as we're speaking at this moment, the parties are all planning their strategies. When they come back next week and Amber Heard will be cross-examined. So what we want to do right now is take a look back at week number 1 of this case. A very important week where we heard the opening statements from both sides, and then Johnny Depp got to go first because he sued first. He took a lot of swings at Amber Heard's claims of abuse. We know that op-ed in 2018 was what started it all. And his attorneys told the jury how they intend to prove Amber Heard's claims false. Let's take a look back now.
The evidence will show that Ms. Heard went to great lengths to win him over by playing the doting girlfriend. And it worked. He fell head over heels in love with her. And over time, the real Ms. Heard began to emerge. She would berate him, scream at him. He would try to appease her, and sometimes, just sometimes, things would get better. But it would always happen again. The evidence will show that Mr. Depp started coping with Ms. Heard in the same way he did as a child. He would try to get away, avoid the conflict. But his trying to leave enraged Ms. Heard. She would resort to physical violence. And you're going to hear that when Ms. Heard got violent, Mr. Depp would just retreat. In her words, Ms. Heard's words, he would split. You will not see a single photograph of the vast majority of the abuse alleged by Ms. Heard. Not one. And there is not a single photograph or video showing Mr. Depp becoming physically violent towards Ms. Heard. The only medical report of an injury during their relationship was a severe one, and it was sustained by Mr. Depp. After an argument, shortly after their marriage, while the couple was in Australia, she berated him, and when he tried to leave, she became violent. She became so violent, in fact, she threw a vodka bottle at him that hit his hand and exploded. It severed the end of one of his fingers. You will learn that there came a time when Mr. Depp was done.
So on May 21st, Mr. Depp came by the apartment that he shared with Ms. Heard in the Eastern Columbia building, or the ECB, as some people refer to it, to tell her that, to pick up his things, and to say goodbye. There is no dispute that soon after Mr. Depp ended things with Ms. Heard and left the apartment on May 21st, he got on a plane to head out on a European tour, a music tour, for months with his band, the Hollywood Vampires. You will hear from the police officers who responded to a 911 call on May 21st, after Mr. Depp left. The police officers will testify that they saw no injuries on Ms. Heard, nor did the police officers see any of the property damages that you will hear Ms. Heard claims existed in the apartments that evening. And you will hear those officers under oath testify that there was no violence and that there was no crime. You will also hear from multiple witnesses who, like the police officers, saw Ms. Heard between May 21 and May 26. Those are the crucial days between the alleged incident and the day she walked into court with her lawyer and got an ex parte order. And those witnesses will testify that they saw her without any marks, any signs of injury on her face. Ultimately, this trial is about clearing Mr. Depp's name of a terrible and false allegation. We ask you in the next several weeks to please carefully consider the evidence, assess the reliability and credibility of that evidence, and to make your own determination about what actually happened between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard.
All right, so that was just kind of like a condensed version of what we saw in the opening statements delivered by the attorneys on the Depp team. So, of course, a very different side being told by Amber Heard and her team of lawyers, and where things left off. She is on the witness stand. She still has yet to finish her direct examination and then be subject to a very rigorous, I'm sure, cross-examination. Let me bring in now for some analysis retired police officer and law enforcement analyst Mark Powell. He's in San Diego, California. That is where he served. Mark, good to have you this afternoon. Something that came up during the trial a couple of times was that there were some calls made to police by Amber Heard. There were times when she called police, but when they came and responded to the call, she would not cooperate, would not give a statement, would not provide them any information on what happened. And so then you're really left with not a whole lot in the way of information in a report or any place you can go with an investigation. Would you talk to us, please, about how challenging that is, practically speaking, when you answer the call made by a citizen, but they won't cooperate, and so there's not much you can do, is there?
There's not much you can do if the witness is uncooperative. And in that case, when I guess it was the roommate or the friend made that police call that there was a domestic violence charge, when they got to the apartment, there were no bruises. There were no signs of any type of violence in the apartment. In fact, it's part of a police officer's job to search the apartment to make sure no one's hiding in there, because domestic violence calls are some of the most dangerous calls for police officers. And the Amber Heard was not cooperating at all. The reason why they call a female officer there is to determine whether or not they want to check for bruises, because sometimes these bruises are underneath the clothing. So they'll ask, do you have any bruises that are not visible? And she had no bruises apparently on her face. In fact, they didn't even file a report for anything.
Right, right. Mark, I'm curious, in the state of California, is there a charge for mutual combat when two people are fighting together and both engaging in a physical fight? Is there a charge that police can apply in those instances?
Typically, if you respond to let's say you're responding to a bar fight and you call it as mutual combat, both of them they're taken down. It's called an FI, a field investigation. Their notes are taken down of the incident, and usually no charges are filed. If no one wants to press charges against the other, they just got in a little altercation. But in this case, the person that should have filed charges is Depp, because when he was in the hospital and his finger was severed off, in some states like California, the doctors are mandated reporters. And so in domestic violence, senior abuse, child abuse, they're mandated to report. The fact that he did not say, she threw the bottle at me and cut my finger off, it saved Amber from facing possible charges for domestic violence herself.
That's interesting, right? I know that's been something that has been problematic for the Depp side of the case, because he said it was him who in fact cut his finger off.
That's correct.
So that came back in a way to haunt him later on in this case. I asked that question because every state does things differently, as you know, Mark, and many of our viewers over in the United Kingdom are fascinated about how the 50 states, we're sovereign. Of course, we have our federal laws as well that can govern. Sometimes charges can arise from the same incident, be both heard in federal court and in state court.
That's right.
And, as you know, and I was wondering, because where I practiced in Pennsylvania, we do have a charge for mutual combat situations where you have people fighting, whether or not they might be two people in a relationship, or oftentimes it's actually not that. It was, when I usually saw it, it was just people engaging in fighting. And I asked that question because here, this does not look like the typical case of domestic violence that those of us who understand domestic violence know it to be. And by that I mean, you know, there's your person who uses violence to control their intimate partner. And here you have accusations coming from both sides of the courtroom that the other person is abusive. And I heard you say something that is very true, and I can tell just by that statement alone that you understand the dynamic there. You said these are some of the most dangerous calls police can go on, which is so true. Tell me, you know, in your experiences, how often have you ever seen a domestic violence type dynamic where you've got two abusers using violence?
There's typically two people involved in a domestic violence case. Normally the person who's actually perpetrating the crime on the victim, and then the victim responding back. Oftentimes you will see scratch marks on a male's face, and the male will accuse the female of causing the domestic violence, and the female will state, I was just defending myself from this person who was attacking me. But there are cases in which the female is the aggressor in the domestic violence charge, and oftentimes those go unchallenged. But there are cases where females are charged with spousal abuse, domestic violence, and they are also arrested. That's why it's so challenging for the police officer to make that determination right away, who's going to jail and who's going to stay home.
Right, right. Yeah, no, absolutely. It can go both ways. It knows no boundaries. Domestic violence affects everyone. It knows no socioeconomic status. Education doesn't matter. And absolutely, men, women alike can be abusers. And here, you know, what I don't see is I do not see the typical pattern, that domestic violence cycle of abuse at all. What I see is two people unable to resolve their conflicts in a healthy way, who are abusing alcohol, abusing drugs, and viciously fighting. And if you believe what they're both saying is true, that yeah, you do have violence and abuse on both sides if you take their testimony as truth, but it's anything but typical to me, Mark Powell. We're going to talk more. We just have to squeeze in a break. What we're going to do is take a break. We're going to hear Amber Heard's team's opening statements coming up next here on Court TV Live. We'll